This is my husband's recipe. Bourbon. You guys, I don't even know for sure. But we're going to get this down so you guys can make it because he has perfected it. We're going to make the bourbon one marinade. So you're going to use our cooking bourbon. You need 1/4 cup. And you can see he always adds a little extra on the side.
Old bartender habit.
And now he's going to add 2 teaspoons of liquid smoke, 1 teaspoon of molasses. Look at that, guys. He got my trick. He's going and spraying his teaspoon with some Pam so his molasses doesn't stick. He thinks he's smart. So this will just make it so the molasses will slide right out and you don't have to get it all over your finger.
A little bit of Pam in your jerky doesn't hurt anything.
No. And we like to use blackstrap molasses, but last time I went to the store I wasn't able to buy it, so we just have some old, I don't know.
Of course that didn't slide out terribly well.
That's because there was liquid in there when you sprayed it. Okay, it's fine. He'll stir it with that. Okay, now we need 2 tablespoons of brown sugar right here. We are only going to put 1 tablespoon of brown sugar in. We're changing the recipe again. 1 teaspoon of black pepper. 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Start with this one. It has the least amount in it. I have 2 jars open, guys. You're going to have to use up one and then go to the other one. I hate it when that happens. 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire. I would be the last one to throw stones at people for how they pronounce it. And 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. And yes, guys, there's a difference between kosher salt and table salt, so make sure you get kosher salt. Mix it up. And next step is going to be to slice our 2-pound steak into thin slices with our cutter and divide it in half. So we'll have 1 pound each. These recipes make 1 pound each of steak or beef jerky. We use top round London broil steak is what we usually use. And it turns out perfect. And it's nice if you have it. This one's been in the freezer. We just took it out, so it's starting to defrost. So it's almost ready to go through the electric slicer we have because you want them evenly sliced so they dry evenly. So cutting by hand, unless you're an immaculate chef, is not a good thing. Now you need to take your steak out and trim all the excess fat off the outside because you don't want that to go into your beef jerky.
Does not make jerky.
No, does not make beef jerky. Beef jerky is dried. So, also you're going to set your slicer to 1/4 inch. That's the perfect thickness for making beef jerky. Is it? So you want to slice all that fat off because you don't want that going into your beef jerky. They're all nice and cleaned up. It's a good treat for the dogs. There's Ripper getting his treat. Birdie's like, hey, how about me? How about me? I want some. So you don't have to be exact on this. He just usually estimates where he's going to cut it in half before he starts slicing it. Ours happens to be in millimeters, so it will be 24 to make 1/4 inch.
24 millimeters per inch, so it's going to be
6 millimeters.
Between 5 and 6.
Between 5 and 6 for 1/4 inch. Make sure you use safety with this. He also uses some salt on it that helps preserve it, so you don't always have to have it in the refrigerator. So we're going to use this, gras powder, frog powder, frog powder, and that 1/4 teaspoon for each batch, and that helps preserve it so you don't have to refrigerate or freeze it after you make it. Per pound of meat. Get it all nice mixed up. Whisk that baby up. Then you have a Ziploc here that he'll put the meat in, and then he'll pour the marinade over it and put it in the refrigerator overnight. And the next day we use a dehydrator in our air fryer, which is a Ninja air fryer, and you can get dehydration trays for it. But you will see what they look like and I think it's well worth the price of the Ninja air fryer. And I really like it because we've probably saved enough money making beef jerky to pay for it. Okay, so he's got it stirred up good. You got all your 1 pound of beef in there. Pour that in when he makes it. Kind of massage it around. Make sure all your beef has got marinade on it.
The beef is stuck together.
And none of it's stuck together because you want it to all have marinade so it all has really good flavor. I'm the only one in the house that doesn't eat this. So I'm just along for the ride, guys. And tomorrow we will be dehydrating our beef jerky. Making our beef jerky. Because right now it's just marinade and beef. So it will be turning into beef jerky. Okay, so now we're preparing to get the beef that's marinated. which I don't eat, but it smells delicious, on these pans. These are the pans that go in our air fryer that I bought. This is one, and then you put another one like this. So we have 2 sets like that. You have a cutting board with 2 layers of paper towel down. Then we lay them on because you got to pat them dry before you put them on these sheets. So that's what we're doing right now. And I like to get some ahead of time so that we have plenty of stuff. Let's work on our bourbon beef jerky. On this one, just a reminder, for both of them, if you are doing these on the smoker, you do not need to add the liquid smoke. Only use the liquid smoke if you're using a dehydrator. So the liquid smoke is optional in both recipes. So basically the same exact method. You're going to lay it out on paper towels, going to pat it dry, and put it on the sheet. Once again, it is cut across the grain, uniform sizes, so that it will dehydrate at the same rate. So you want it the same thickness, approximately, and the same size. My husband considers the little pieces as test pieces while he's dehydrating to see if it's done. Okay, just a word, you can use any meat, as my husband reminded you, not the London broil, but it's the best. You just want to see as little meat, as little fat as possible. You can see there's just little streaks of it in here. So you want it to be lean meat, lean beef meat. So he has used a roast before, but then you have to slice the pieces in half because they're too thick when you slice them with the slicer. You can also dehydrate these in the oven. Going to need to prop the door open and put it on the lowest setting. It depends on your oven. Like ours only goes down to 170. So it just depends on how low your oven will go. Okay, my dehydrator is set on my oven for 6 hours, 165 degrees. You're going to put your things in. As you can see, we have them on...
Is this the right one?
Yes, the 4. So we have the bourbon one on the top and this one on the bottom. It takes 3 to 6 hours depending on what's... Oops, I just turned it off. That was stupid. Now I'm going to have to reset it. So it's going to take 3 to 6 hours. We will be testing it throughout. Also, we put a little thing underneath of it on our dehydrator because our floor is not level. So guess what? Stuff leaks out the side. So here we go. Stay with us. Let's see. How is it looking? Kind of test it. It needs to be...
This is still not done. Notice how pliable it is. It wants to be flexible, but not
pliable.
It needs to be a little stiffer than that.
It's been going how long?
3 hours.
3 hours, so we're probably getting close.
This is closer.
You can kind of see the white stretch marks in it. That's kind of how you can tell the difference.
It's edible now.
You could eat it, but it wouldn't keep real well.
Actually, this is probably close.
He's going to taste this one. Survey says...
This is done.
Okay, so the bourbon one that was on top is done. Now, because we put the frog powder in it, it will keep for a year out on the counter. We put it in a Ziploc bag to start with to make it stay soft with it open while it cools. Without the frog powder, it keeps for 1 month. It has to be refrigerated. So this is the bourbon one. It took about 3 hours at 165. The other one, which I think, now with 2 pounds, you usually lose about a pound of weight. Just less than a pound, because it'll be about 1 pound 2 ounces. So that's about, if you were to buy at the store, $40 worth of beef jerky. It's a lot better flavored. Doesn't have all the preservatives in it other than the prog, and it cost about $18 for the steak if you watch for it on sale, and it will keep, and it's a nice tasty low fat treat.